You're listening to PetLifeRadio.com.
Hello, pet parents and pet lovers. This is Michelle Fern, host of Best Bets for Pets on Pet Life Radio. I have a super exciting show today. I have one of the big names in pet rescue. You know the name. She's been on TV for years, and she's done an amazing amount of work for pet rescue. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Sit. Stay. We'll be right back after a short pause. Well, 4 to be exact.
Nature at its best is nature at its simplest. At Red Barn, we've kept it simple for 20 years by concentrating on single-ingredient natural dog treats. Because Mother Nature's actually pretty good at this. Bones are just tasty bones. Meat treats are just nourishing meat. It's nature at its simplest. Look at the label. We want you to. Red Barn Natural Treats. Simply the best. Find it in your local pet specialty store. Try our slow-roasted, natural meaty bones.
It's DesignerPetSweaters.com. Hand-knitted designer sweaters for your precious pup or cool cat. Beautiful couture patterns for your pets, including custom-knitted formal wear, casual wear, yachting, and even sports-themed. Many designer pet sweaters include feathered tammy hats, top hats, and a lot of sparkle. Each sweater includes leg loops, front paw sleeves, and leash opening. Visit DesignerPetSweaters.com to order your four-legged fashions today. Your pets will stay warm for the winter and be runway ready. Large or small, we fit them all. DesignerPetSweaters.com.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back, everyone. I'd like to introduce Jill Rappaport. I'm so excited to have her on the show. Most people have seen her on the Today Show for many years, but not everybody knows all she's done for pet rescue. She's done an enormous amount. She's won the Oscar in the animal, arena, the Genesis Award with the Today Show, and she's just done an amazing amount of work for pet rescue. Welcome, Jill.
Hey, thank you so much. That was such a great intro. Did my mother send that to you, Michelle?
Yes. No, you've just, most people know you. They've seen you on the Today Show, talk about the rescues, but you've done so much behind the scenes that I don't think people have a clue of how much. And not just dogs. I don't know cats. I know dogs, but horses and other animals. And you've been involved with numerous celebrities and getting them involved.
Well, it's so funny because for many, many decades, I was the entertainment reporter, for years. And one of my first shows was PM Magazine with Matt Lauer. Wonder whatever happened to that guy. And went on to do CBS and then the Today Show and Nightly News. The last 6 months, I did a segment on The View called Rappaport to the Rescue. But it wasn't until my beloved dog, Jack, my German Shepherd, who really changed my life forever because he made me realize through a catastrophic illness, he got bone cancer. And it was through his treatment that I literally chronicled on the Today Show that I realized this was my true calling and this was not a job, it was my oxygen. And when we put Jack's story on the Today Show, I was contacted from people all over the world. And I went to my boss that day and I said, you know what? Stars don't need my help, animals do. And it was from that day forward in 2006 that I became the, quote, animal advocate for the Today Show. They wanted to call me the pet reporter. And I said, oh, no. That's way too light and fluffy for what I do. I'm an advocate. But literally, Michelle, I have rescued, when I was a kid, I grew up in Detroit, Michigan, I came home with stray animals all the time. My dog Hampton, who lived till 20, I rescued in the Hamptons. It was either naming him 7-Eleven, where I found him, or Hampton. But I remember my friends looking at me in the 80s thinking, are you crazy? This dog had 62 ticks on him. We put up posters. No one, claimed him. And they thought I was really a little nutty. And I tried to explain to them that I have rescued my whole life, long before people understood the importance and the need, just because that's who I am. And thank goodness now my life is surrounded by what I love. And I always say, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And this is my oxygen.
What's wonderful, not only of the thousands of dogs that you've rescued, but in bringing it to the forefront and making it so visible and kind of, in a way, prestigious in a sense, it brings it to all the, people out there that it's a great thing to rescue dogs.
It's a cool thing to do. Yeah, it's so funny. When I started the segment on the Today Show, I'll never forget, I said to my boss, I want to do a mutt makeover. I want to go to, the Animal Care and Control, which is, really quite a dire shelter in 110th Street in New York City. And I want to take these animals and we want to clean them up, put them on national TV and get them a home. So it really was your ultimate mutt makeover. And I was one of the first to do a, quote, national rescue segment. And I was so proud of that segment because it ran for almost 7 years and we had a 100% adoption record, which, it's hard enough to get these animals out. And to be able to say that every one of my animals got a home was unbelievable. And I was so proud of that because it is true. Like, I got Christy Brinkley, her rescue dog, Al Roker, his rescue dog, Brian Gumble, his rescue dog, Michael Phelps took one of my Bow to Wow dogs. And love it or not, Donald Trump was on the show one day when I was doing Bow to Wow, and I made him walk out one of my rescue dogs, and I said to him on live television, I bet you've never walked a dog before. He said, you got that right. So, I don't know if I made it hip or cool, but I certainly brought a national spotlight to the plight. And, it's really terrible because people don't understand that, there's between 6 and 7 million companion animals, and I say companion, household, wonderful animals, waiting, many on doggy death row for a home. And if we can't get people into the shelters, we can't get people out. So my goal and mission now, working on a new show, all about this, and this campaign that I'm doing with this wonderful product, wonderful company, the ParaDefense campaign. My goal is to do everything we can to make these animals more attractive and more up for adoption, more eligible for adoption. And it starts with good health, which is why this campaign was so important to me, Michelle.
So let's talk about this new campaign that you're doing. You're working with Leslie Oliver-Pollack, and she is with CapInnoVet, and the product is ParaDefense. What does the product do?
Well, and Leslie can explain, the intricate details a little bit better than me, but, it is a flea medication, a flea application for dogs and cats, more so for cats. Wouldn't you agree, Leslie?
Yeah, it's great for dogs and cats, but cats out there that aren't getting flea prevention, this is just a perfect fit for them because it's a topical prevention, and it's affordable, and it's got the same active ingredients and concentration as you find in well-known flea control.
And let me tell you, Michelle, that sounds okay. They're doing a commercial now for a flea product. Let me tell you the win-win here and why I'm the spokesperson for this wonderful company. They came to me and they said, we want to make a difference for shelter animals. And I said, okay, how? And they said, we're going to give 1,000 applications free of charge to various shelters. Now, as a pet owner, this can be very costly. I have been in my vet's office where I saw a woman bring in her dog and say that she needed to put the dog to sleep because she couldn't afford antibiotics for the bladder infection. This happens all the time. And I've always tried to tell my vets, you really need to give a discount for people who have rescues, especially multiple rescues. Well, here's a company that comes to me and says, okay, we want to get these animals healthy, and we're going to give our product away for free. How great is that, Michelle?
That's fabulous. And also because a lot of pets that are coming from a rescue environment do have a large amount of fleas, and that usually is a discouraging factor to people that want to adopt, rescue animals.
Right, Leslie? You've seen these animals. I mean, if they're covered in spots and scratching, that animal's not going to be adopted so fast.
Exactly. And so ParaDefense wants to make sure they are adopted faster. I think we just applaud Jill's commitment and passion to taking care of all pets, and we want to make sure those rescue dogs are more adoptable. And the reality is they need their flea prevention so that they're healthy and can go home with a great owner. So that's what ParaDefense is all about.
And you should know, it's not like you can go in your store. Leslie, why don't you explain, with the vet channel? And the main thing for me, in fact, I was just at my vet's office right before you called me, and I was telling him all about the product, and, he has to carry it. We need to educate our vets, too, and we need to promote things to our vets. And I cannot stress enough that, if we don't give back, there's got to be incentives. The NBC ran a program this year, Empty the Shelters. I think it was called Clear the Shelters. And, I don't know, 20,000 animals in one day, and there were incentives because I guess, from their standpoint, they waived adoption fees in some cases. And look, there's pros and cons to everything, but the bottom line is we need to get these animals into not just a home, but the right home. And if you can get them healthy and happy, they're going to have such a better shot of getting out. You know what it's like if an animal's sick lying in the back of a cage, and you can even get a person into a shelter. They're going to walk by that cage and they're going to see an animal with a runny nose or scratching its ears and its, shoulders, and they're going to keep walking. So companies like this ParaDefense campaign is so crucial because it's setting a precedent to give back to animals in need. If companies would do this, if they would donate food, toys, medicine, whatever it takes to make that adoption animal more eligible, we would empty the shelters.
And I think just on a very simplistic note, besides of the importance of ParaDefense, fleas and cause worms, which end up causing other problems.
Right.
So that's an importance.
And by the way, people can get fleas. When I brought home one of my rescue dogs, I was scratching my ankles, and I thought, oh my goodness, what is this? You don't understand. Fleas carry a lot of nasty things. We always hear about mosquitoes. The fleas are really dangerous too. And cats, especially, there's so many feral cats that we're trying to bring in to get up for adoption. They're covered in fleas. And, you look at the southern, part of our country down south and the warmer areas, it is a real problem. And if somebody's going to adopt, they look at the cost. And that is just another cost if you have to buy this medicine or if the animal's really sick. So it's so great if we can alleviate that, if we can take that away from the future pet parent and say, okay, here comes this animal, and it's protected, it's healthy, we're loading you up, and 1,000 applications. We launched in Southampton Animal Shelter, which is in my backyard, and there's pictures online if people want to go to my Facebook. It was so great because, we just came in with our arms loaded with boxes, and, all those animals are going to be, protected, and it's just such an important message, We really need to help these animals, and this is just one way that, again, if everybody could take a cue from this company, we'd be in really good shape, and those records would really come down in terms of numbers of animals in cages.
Okay, so for everybody that's listening, all the pet parents out there that are big advocates of rescues, or prospective pet parents that want to adopt a rescue, what would they do? Go to their vet and say, hey, carry ParaDefense. What would be a good way to pull this product through the system?
Well, Leslie, I'll let you speak on that because Leslie, it's her genius idea and they're selling through the vet channel, and you have very specific target points, don't you, Leslie?
Yeah, we really want to support the veterinarian and the shelter community. And so, yes, we really say to that pet parent, go to your veterinarian, ask them for ParaDefense for your dog or for your cat. We're only going to be selling it through veterinarians because we really believe in that veterinarian-pet owner relationship and that the real importance of overall pet health, too. So, yeah, tell them go ask a veterinarian for ParaDefense for dogs and cats. It's a great flea prevention, and we're giving back to those shelter animals. And it's so important to get those rescue dogs in homes and to get them healthy.
Yeah, and everything I do, people say, I've had a line of leashes and collars for 5 years, the Joe Rappaport Rescued Me collection, and every saying is like boast, rescue, and adoption. Opt to adopt, I'm a pound hound, I'm a heart melter from a shelter. It gives people bragging rights. And I also have a toy coming out, Shelter Shake, which is, again, another method to get these animals engaged. Just like the medicine to get them healthy, this toy that I'm doing with the most amazing toy company called Multipet. I was so excited that they wanted to manufacture my toy, but we're going to be also giving out toys so that these animals can be engaged in a cage. They can make their tails wag. They can be happy playing with this wonderful toy. Whatever I can do to make those animals more appealing so that somebody walks by and goes, wait, there's my soulmate. There's my fur mate. This is just another way of doing it. And again, it all starts with your listeners understanding the importance of going into your local shelter. I cannot even tell you, I think I told this story on one of your shows recently because it was so upsetting to me, and she's a dear friend of mine, bless her heart, but she got a dog from a breeder, and it was upsetting. When my friends go to a breeder, it's kind of like really upsetting to me and a little slap in my face because, it's my oxygen. So I said, how could you do that? And she said, but wait a minute, Jill, she's like a rescue dog because she has so many issues. And I just went ballistic. I said, now it's comments like that why these animals are in the cages. You feel that shelter rescue pets are damaged goods. Meanwhile, my shelter animals are amazing. Stanley could have his own TV show. Ruby has sold more products for me, and they're purebred. 2 are purebred. They're perfect animals. Hey, they can end up in a shelter because, heaven forbid, somebody loses their job, can't afford them anymore. An owner can die. No fault of their own, they can end up in that shelter. But for people today, and there's still so many to think that shelter animals are damaged goods, just drives me crazy. So because we still have that mentality and mindset out there, companies and my campaign like ParaDefense, my toy shelter shake with multi-pet, I'm doing everything I can to lure people in, to entice people to get to the darn shelter. And once you go in, you will find your dream pet. And I promise you, no matter what you're looking for, whether it be a purebred or a marvelous mutt, a senior or a puppy, whatever it is, if you wait long enough and if you have your heart set on something, I understand that. Some people love certain breeds, but you can find it. If you want a yellow lab, there's Labrador Rescue. There's German Shepherd Rescue. I just wish your listeners, everybody would understand, just give rescue and adoption a chance. And this is why companies like this, myself, we're doing whatever we can to make it just that much more enticing. If we can get them in, we can get those animals out.
Well said. Bravo. I love that because I'm such a proponent for rescues. All of our animals are test cruise rescues. And it's funny when you talk about damaged goods. Mr. Z was from a rescue. I adopted him a week after my other rescue passed on. It was during a hurricane in South Florida. It was in between the whole week of hurricanes coming. And I got him right before Hurricane Wilma, which was a pretty bad one down here about 10 years ago. And he was returned. This adorable little puppy was returned. And when I said, why was he returned? He was kind of shy. They said, they didn't have room for him.
Oh,
crazy,
let me tell you,
right?
and that's a puppy. I saw the other day, in fact, Leslie, you remember, when we were at Southampton Animal Shelter, in the back room, there was a 140-pound, 11-year-old Great Dane that was dumped by her owner. 11 years old. Now, they say Great Danes are lucky to live till 11. So let's say in a perfect world, this dog, if she's lucky, has another year, and that owner dumped her. I don't even want to tell you my thoughts and feelings to that owner. I get so upset by this because would we do that to our great-grandparents when they get old? Would we do that to our parents? Would our children do that to us? I mean, to dump a senior dog in the twilight of their lives, and the cat situation, what people also don't realize, because wherever I go, and I drove 10,000 miles last year for my show, Best in Shelter with Joe Rappaport, and literally was on the road. I went from door to door, shelter to shelter, and every time I go to a new city, I always go to the local city-run shelter. I want to know what's going on. I want to see how they run their operation. I like to know what's happening. And I'll tell you something, the cat situation is so dire. At one point, it was 5-to-1. 5 cats to 1 dog. So and that's the other reason why this flea protection, and it's especially great with cats, the cat population is, oh my goodness, it'll break your heart. But if, people love animals, we have so much compassion in this country. There's so many people that care so much. And I'm not telling you, I feel bad, I don't want to diss breeders, but I just want people to understand what is laying and waiting in a cage. And many times, all my dogs, I got them on day 29 and 30 when they, literally had a month to be there. So they were going to be euthanized that day or the next day. And my Ruby, who was on day 29, I was out in L.A. receiving my 4th Genesis Award, which you referred to. It's the Oscars of the animal world. And my friend said to me, I need to go look at a dog for somebody. And I said, seriously? I'm here for one day. It's like a coke addict going to a crack den. I said, oh my gosh, I shouldn't go. Well, we ended up leaving with 3 dogs. One was Ruby, who was dumped at 6 years old on day 29. She would have been euthanized the next day. The other dog was so sick, he only lived 3 days. But at least we got him out and got him medical attention so he didn't die in that alley shelter. And the 3rd dog was the brother of the one that passed away, and we ended up getting him to Bryant Gumbel. So 3 lives were saved. one unfortunately didn't make it because he was so sick and he was left in that horrific situation. But I have to tell you, my Ruby, who was dumped as a senior, almost a senior at 7, she is the most amazing girl. She's the one that's the face of my toy. She goes with me to Global. You've met her. You know her, Ruby. You know Michelle. You've seen Ruby.
Yeah, I've met Ruby.
She has such spirit and spunk, and she knows. These rescue animals, they know that we've saved them. And when people rescue an animal, they always say that they're the ones that feel that they've been rescued. I've never heard anything different. It's such a gift. So, again, we're doing whatever we can, Leslie's company, my time and effort, whatever we can to make every animal just as appealing and as healthy and as wonderful as we can to shine the best light on them.
So, Jill, where can everybody listening find out more about ParaDefense? Is there a list of vets that will be carrying the product that will be on a website someplace?
Well, we have a whole campaign that just kicked off. But Leslie, do you want to give the information if anybody wants to follow up?
Exactly. You can go to ParaDefensePet.com to learn more about the product. You can ask your veterinarian for ParaDefense. It's easy for them to access it. Henry Schein, which is a big distributor in animal health, is going to be carrying it. They've already shipped it all over the country for us. So just, if you want more information, you can go to ParaDefense.com, or if you're more of someone who likes Facebook, find us and like us on Facebook. Just look for ParaDefense. And I think, Jill, you also have on your Facebook site
yes, exactly.
And if you want to learn more about the campaign.
Right. We just kicked it off, and I think it might be interesting. And, I know you have a huge listenership, Michelle, and lots of people writing in and following you. It might be great if people know a very worthy, deserving shelter. I think it's so great because we want to continue this campaign and go around and being able to give out products, and we want to pick the shelters that are very deserving, and they're all deserving, but, we're going around the country and taking our time and really making sure that we really get our message out. But it might be nice if, people know of a really special situation where it's just dire, and, please write in and tell us about it. It would, alert us to situations, and I think, Leslie, that's a good way to find out what's happening, don't you?
I agree. That's a great suggestion. I'd love to hear rescue stories.
Right.
I think there are so many, and I'm sure there's great listeners out there that are so involved in rescuing, whether or not they are taking care of the pets before they find their home, or if they're working in a shelter. So we'd love to hear the stories, but also if you know of a shelter that you want us to be helping to support, I think that would be terrific. Just go on to our Facebook site and let me know.
Well, I think you've done a great job explaining it, and it's amazing. It's an amazing and generous offer for ParaDefense, for CapInnoVet, to give 1,000 applications. I'm sure you'll hear about plenty of shelters that are very interested, and I'd like to thank you, Jill, and thank you, Leslie, for coming on Best Bets for Pets. Thank you so much.
And I'll see you in less than 2 weeks.
Yes. At Global, I can't wait. There's always lot of exciting things happening at Global, so that's always a lot of fun. My calendar's slowly getting really packed with probably a lot of sound bites and interesting products, so that's always a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, and I'll bring my little Ruby with me. She'll steal the show again.
Of course,
She will.
Wow, what an exciting show, and it's so wonderful. Jill's such a proponent for rescue dogs, and Leslie's on board with the CapInnoVet product for ParaDefense. It's just, like Jill says, warms your heart for all the rescues. I'm such a big fan of rescues. Everybody in our crew, Mr. Z, Nikki, and the Dennis, are all rescues, so we like rescues around here at the studio. I'd like to thank my guests, Jill Rappaport and Leslie Oliver-Pollack, for coming on and educating us more about rescues and the great campaign that CapInnoVet is doing with introducing ParaDefense. We will have on Best Bets for Pets. On this episode, there will be a blurb and there will be links to the various information for ParaDefense that you can find easily if you want to have a rescue or one that you want to, ask for some of the ParaDefense that's going to be given away. That'll be a great place to start. And of course, thank you to everyone listening, for everyone that's ever adopted, rescue, or just all the pet parents out there, because there's a lot of wonderful breeders too. Thank you for listening. We'll be back with more great shows coming soon, especially after Global Pet Expo. There's always a lot of great products there, and there will be a show on our events page. Look for that.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.